Hello everybody, SoCalZero here, welcoming you to a kind of a bonus episode for the week for as far as me releasing content goes. It's probably not going to be the biggest episode, but what I wanted to do is, first off, this is what the garage currently looks like right now as I am recording this. I'm going to record here in a second me working on the Ariel Atom like I promised. And then these other two vehicles are just here because I'm actually going to sell them to make a little bit more money. And then, as you see, we have an older and a newer Ford Raptor truck that I'm going to be working on as well. But reason for this episode is I kind of wanted to, and I'm going to edit out the loading, hopefully. It's going to be a lot of editing because it's a lot of loading, but I'm going to be actually giving you guys a little bit of a tour of my my garage of vehicles that are finished. So what we're going to do first is we're going to start on parking level 0. So I'll see you guys over there. Alright guys, so we are on the first level of my garage. Unfortunately with this game you can't just continue up like this, so it's going to, like I said, I'll be doing a lot of editing. It's going to be, I'm going to show you a floor, go back to my garage, and then go to the next floor, and then go back to my garage, and so on and so forth. So we'll just go ahead and get started here. This is the first level, and just be warned that the first few levels are going to be of the default game cars. We're going to start right now here with the R2, the Corvette looking vehicle. It is just a regular V8 version of the vehicle here, but obviously it's got one of the game's liveries on it. The next vehicle is the same vehicle, but it is the supercharged version. This is the one that I told you guys about that you want to sell if you find it in the junkyard, and you probably want to restore it. So like, this one isn't worth as much as what I normally get for these things, but the reason for that is because the mileage is a little bit higher on it than some of them. I tend to keep the higher mileage cars for myself, so that way I can get the most money out of selling them when they have the lower miles. But we're gonna move on here. The next car, which is called the DC Typhoon, I think, in the game. I actually have 3 versions of it because America over here, as you can see, I got red, white, and blue, even in the order there. I don't know, OCD kicked in there, but they're all the same. They all have the same motor. They have different mileage, obviously, because I've restored all 3 of them. And then, as you can see, license plate red, license plate white, and license plate blue for red, white, and blue, and Washington license plate, because, you know, doesn't get more American than that. So, the car that kind of resembles the Shelby 429 Cobra, so I kind of wanted to do something like that with that car and do something a little different. We have this vehicle over here. I believe this is a Chieftain. Oh no, Bolt Hellcat. I'm not going to know the names of these off the top of my head, just so you know. I'm going to have to do some car stats on them. This one here is just a regular V8 overhead valve cam. I kind of gave it a little bit of a different look back here with the paint job with the vinyl setup, and also with the coloring too. I'm a big fan of black cars, even though I don't personally own a black car because they're so hard to keep clean. So what I do is I try to purchase cars and fix them up and do a different color so my garage isn't just completely full of black cars, but that might be the case in some instances. This is the little sedan that you can fix up from the junkyard that comes with the game. It's not really worth much. It's just got like a little bit of a, I guess you could say it's a British themed livery to it here. I didn't really do too much with it other than just restore it. This right here is, what are these called again? A Bolt Atlanta. Okay, here we go. This is a Bolt Atlanta. This is a V6 version of it, I believe. I think there's a few different versions, and I think I have them. They're just not on the same floor, unfortunately. As we go higher up in my garage, you'll see my OCD start to kick in for as far as trying to keep stuff neat and together as much as possible, like what I did with the red, white, and blues down there. Over here we got another modern looking car. It's a hatchback one here. It's got an engine. The engine's actually in the back of it. Kind of did a little bit of a rally livery thing that comes with the game to it. I don't know what it's trying to mimic in real life. Maybe a Renault is what I'm assuming. Then over here, this is the one that you saw in my garage that's rusted out, and I plan on restoring and selling it because it had low miles, and I mean, I already have one, so what's the point of having 2? And then again, you can look at those and say the same thing, but either way, I was like, I'll just get that and then I'll use that as a car to sell. But yeah, these are called, what are they called? Yeah, Tempest Magnum. I think that one's a Tempest Magnum 500, which I'm sure there's a difference. It's probably just what motor can go into it. So I have one of those there. It kind of mimics a Plymouth Superbird is going to be my guess, but not totally 100% sure. But that's what I'm thinking it's going for. This car right here obviously is trying to mimic a Corvette. It's a, what are these called again? Another Bolt Rotilia. It's the same as that down there. It's just the older version. So it does make sense. It kind of looks like an older Corvette, and then those look like the older like 90s Corvettes in the late 80s. So it makes sense that it should look like that. Then over here is the Chieftain Bandit, and of course it looks like a Firebird. So when I had the choice to put a livery on it, I put the Pontiac Firebird looking livery on it as well, just to kind of keep the theme going here. Again, it's a another V8. We're gonna go ahead and close that. And yeah, that's the first level of the mini garages that I have, or many levels I should say, of my parking garage here. So we're gonna go back to our garage and I'll see you guys on the next floor. Alright guys, so we are now back onto the next level of my garage. We got a few cars up here. The first one being the Chieftain up here. It's a again, like the one downstairs in the first level, but I think, yeah, this is a TBX. I don't recall what the other one is. It might be the same thing or a little slightly different. But obviously a little bit of a different paint scheme to it. Kind of went with that like changing color tone. It's like a bluish purple with some good racing stripes down it there. Then we have this, I think they call this a Saku 2000 or something? Sakura. Okay, Sakura GT20. It wasn't even close, but I think it's trying to mimic like the old European race car look, like a Jaguar or whatnot. So, have one of those as well. Then over here, one of the DLCs that I have is Mazda's vehicles. So I have a Mazda RX-7 right here. Big fan of this car. Looks very, very cool. Personally wouldn't own one in real life because I hate rotary engines. Not just because one almost killed me, but the fact that they're a pain in the ass to work on. But they are beautiful cars, I will say that. Next vehicle here is the pickup truck that comes in the game, the classic pickup truck. Don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but kind of mimics I guess an old Chevy / old Ford F100, you can say. Okay, I guess it's called a Smith. Kind of went with a Barney Ross from the first Expendables movie kind of livery theme look on this one here, is what I was going for. Next car here is the little two-door sedan that comes in the game. It's called a, oh god, I'm not even going to try to attempt that name, but found it in the junkyard, kind of fixed it up. Just slapped a race livery on it just to be cool. I mean, god, it says 187, that's terrible. Alright, I mean, I guess it is what it is. Next car over here is previous floor again, Bolt Atlanta. It's just a regular one here. I think this one actually is a, yeah, this is a V8. It's one carb, and the one downstairs was a V6. I think this one, which is the same car, yeah, it's a Atlanta Trespasser. It's a V8, but it's an overhead valve. It's actually kind of lifted in a way. It's, I guess it's meant more for like an off-road use. I don't know. Most of my cars on these first few levels too are just complete restores, so whatever wheels came on it is what wheels are on it again. I didn't do any modifications. You'll see the changes when we go up a few floors to when I start doing like different wheels and different tires. So whatever these wheels and tires are that are on this car, this is what came with it. Next vehicle here, I actually bought this at the auction. It's my first one. It's a, I think, did they even call it? It's a Salem Spectre. I would call it a Dominator just because of GTA 5, but it's supposed to mimic a cross between a Ford Mustang, which you will see a ton of coming up soon on another floor, and a Chevy Camaro. Maybe even a little bit of a Dodge Charger front end there. Over here, speaking of Chargers, we have a old late 60s Charger, I would say is what this is. I'm not a Charger person, so I wouldn't know the exact year, but We have an older Dodge Charger right here that I fixed up. Then right next to it, I just did this livery because, you know, why not? Because it's different, and it was the only livery that came with it. Is a Mazda RX-3. Again, another rotary engine that I would hate to work on in real life if I had to. Then next to it here is the older version of that vehicle over there. Just kind of like what I would call a Dominator again, but again, it looks like a Ford Mustang. This one actually looks a lot more like a Ford Mustang and nothing else compared to that one that kind of has some look of a Chevy in there and a little bit of Dodge, but kind of went with a Eleanor theme to it. I mean, you've seen Gone in 60 Seconds and you got an old fastback Mustang. That's probably what you should go with, right? So that's what we tried to go with that one. And then this one here is another Chieftain. It's another TBX, but it's a 2-carb one instead of the single carb one. So we went with this one. Kind of did a little bit of a two-tone here. I don't know if it's supposed to be like this or not, or if the livery is just jacked up from the game. But either way, I kept it like that and decided it looked cool having one side kind of different like that. But yep, that's the second floor here. I think I got about 1 or 2 more floors left, and then you'll start seeing some of the DLC mod cars that I have fixed up, other than obviously like the Mazda here. Alright guys, we are back. We are on the 3rd floor, and I believe this is the final floor of like default cars that come in the game that I have anyways, that I've restored. And possibly not restored. I don't know. There might be some down here I haven't finished yet. Usually the stuff I don't finish is more on the top floor, but might be some stuff down here. But first vehicle here, we have a Bolt Cape, which kind of mimics that of a old Chevy Impala. So wanted to kind of have the nice flat black with some nice racing stripes on it. Kind of get that cross lowrider look slash like muscle car look. Next to it here, we have a Luxor Bowen. It's obviously a big boat car. I would say this is trying to mimic a Lincoln more than anything, if that L doesn't give it away already. But that's a nice big boat car to float down the road in. Next we have a Bolt Chapman, and I think I have 2 of these. I think I have a V6 one down the way too. This is the V8 one. Yep. Kind of gave it that flat black look. It looks like a older Chevy Caprice, I guess you could say. Kind of went with just the original look on it. Kind of tried to get that training day look. I mean, as you can see, this is where I was talking about lots of black cars. Lots of black cars. But next vehicle here is, what are these called again? Bolt Roulette. I guess that's how you would say that. It's a, I guess, I would be guessing that it tried to mimic like the early 70s Camaro. Is what they were trying to go with this model. So that's that one. And then over here, these are the Earthquake Rex. These are the modern trucks in the game. They're kind of, I guess, a replica of the Ford F-150 a little bit. This is when you start seeing, I realized that you can actually put different wheels on as long as you had certain things correct with them for the vehicle so that they'd fit. So like you'll start seeing stuff with like this right here where it's not the wheels that originally came on it, but it's kind of got like a nice lower setup to it, a little bit of a race truck look, a little nice interior too. Trying to get it to mimic my dad's F-150 Lightning a little bit. Next one here is a Dodge Challenger, I believe. Yep, that's a Dodge Challenger, one of the DLCs right here. Had to go with the classic stripe in the back because it was either this or blank, and I mean, the Challenger, you gotta have that. The RT model, obviously, or trim, I should say, as it says it right there. Here's the other one that is a V6, and as you can see, it's very empty in there, being that it's a V6. It was built for a V8. This one again kind of keeps the same classic look with it, and also the black to kind of go with the training day look. This is the modern SUV. What is this called? Movina Urus, or I don't know. That's what they're calling it. This model is the second one that actually the third one I bought at the auction. The truck is the second I bought at an auction. This is the third one I bought at an auction, and I kind of fixed this up to be like my little drive around car to go like pick up parts and shit. It used to sit in my garage for a while, and I'd kind of like role play that I'd have to hop in this to go get parts out of the junkyard or whatnot. So again, it's got different wheel setup here. Livery wise, there was a thing to do carbon fiber arches and trimming, and I didn't know why that was a thing, but I did it anyways. So yeah, just kind of did that with that one. This one here is a Del Rey Custom. Kind of reminds me of the old Chevy. What are those? Bel Airs, I think, is what it's called. I'm not a Chevy guy either. I'm a Ford guy. Just FYI, when it comes to older cars. I know, and I appreciate old Chevys, Dodges, Plymouths, everything, but I just don't know them as well as I do Fords. But yeah, that's pretty much what this one I believe is trying to mimic, and kind of went with the flame in the front look, and classic hot rod look that you used to see on these things. This here is another modern car. It's a Salem Flamo. I think they wanted to say Flamingo, but they just took out part of it. And it was just a car that was beat to shit, just sitting in the junkyard that I've never worked on before, as far as restoring goes. And I hadn't restored it for a long time. It was just sitting here as a it's just a roller shell. It had all the stuff on it other than the engine and the interior, but I finally got around to doing it. Got another hatchback looking vehicle here. It is a Rhino Polo, I guess is what it's called. Another car that I got at the auction. It has kind of like an Italian stripe here on it as far as the livery goes. I think they were trying to do something to make it seem more like a Mini Cooper, even though it's not really. It kind of reminds me of like a Fiat or a another Renault, or yeah, a Renault. Over here we have the FMW Roadster. This is one of my more expensive cars that I have. It's V8 obviously, and actually, is it a V8? Oh, my bad, it's actually a 4-cylinder. I'm thinking it's a V8. It's a little roadster car, kind of like a Mercedes convertible top vehicle, I guess you could say. Like, I think those are what, SL500s or SL55s or whatever. One of my old roommates really liked those Mercedes. He was really hoping to get one day. He might now, I don't know. But it was another car I bought at the auction. It was stripped down to a shell at one point because I was restoring it. Because even though it's at the auction and it was in good shape, it still needed some work done. So, and nothing comes up here completed unless it's actually completely 100% completed. Before I call it good. I say that, but as we get up there higher, you're going to see cars that came straight from the junkyard. Is why I'm kind of falling back on my words there. But we're going to go ahead and move up to the next level now. All right, we are on the next floor now, and this is, like I thought, it's going to be where the default cars end and the DLC and modified game file cars, or like real life cars, begin. So to start off, we have two Crown Vics here. We have a NYPD livery V8 Ford CVPI over here. It even has the partitioner and the light bar on it. Probably very illegal, but pretty cool to have. And then next to it, we have a slick top LAPD look of a Ford CVPI as well. Kind of looks like a detective car, even though it's got markings on it. Then the rest of the garage, truth be told, and I'll let you see it right now, is all Ford Mustangs. Every single thing in here is a Ford Mustang other than those two CVPIs. Eventually, there's a few more Mustangs that I do not own, and this is what's crazy, and I'll show you right now. Every single one of these Mustangs is different and unique in its own way. It's not the same car. And when we go to each one, I'll show you, but surprisingly, with that download for that mod, I still am missing some Mustangs, and the creators of Car Mechanic Simulator actually came out with a DLC not too long ago that includes a newer Mustang in it. So these CVPIs will probably be going to the next floor, which is another Ford floor. But right here we have, well, most of these are going to be V8s. There's like one V6. I'm going to click on the car status of each one so we can kind of see the differences. This one is a 2013 Ford Mustang, but it's a Boss 302 model. when I do these vehicles, other than the wheels probably, everything is set up to be parts for that specific one. So this is a Boss 302. I tried to put as much of the Boss 302 parts that I knew were Boss 302 parts on it. So that's the Boss 302 version. This one is a 2013. It's the Roush Stage 3 version. It's obviously a Roush. It's got the window on there back there. I think these window louvers actually belong on the Boss, and these probably belong on this, but I just haven't brought them both down yet, and I don't want to mess up the... It's not easy to keep stuff organized like this. I don't want to bring them down and then mess up the way it looks up here again. It's kind of why I've been a little hesitant to fix them. Next vehicle here is just a 2013 Ford Mustang. It's just a GT model, so it's just the base model here. Nothing really special about it, like those being a Roush and the other being a Boss 302. Next vehicle here, again, another 2013, but it is a Shelby GT500. And as you can see from the different grills there, it's definitely got the Shelby grill in it. The Shelby front end, Shelby fenders. It's definitely a Shelby. It's actually white in color. I don't know why it's coming up as like a champagne color. It must be the lighting in this parking garage. Then the vehicle next to it is a 2013 Ford Mustang, but it's a V6. So as you can see, it's a V6 motor instead of the typical V8. This one's actually supercharged because it's the Shelby. We'll go ahead and close those. And again, these wheels actually come on the V6, so I kept the wheels true to this one. Obviously with these, like that was the stock one. I went with what I thought was a lot cooler wheels, so that's why those are on there. But these are the complete stock rims for the V6 version of it. This right here is a 2005 Ford Mustang. It's the Hot Wheels edition of the vehicle, which is like a Hot Wheel basically. It's just absurd what's on it. The taillights are weird, the rear bumper's weird, the wing is crazy. It's definitely a race car. It's got a cage in there, the wider fender so you can run on wider tires. It's obviously supercharged because I mean this car has everything on it. But yeah, it's definitely a not street legal car. Over here, I believe this is my Saleen. Yep, this is a 2005 Ford Mustang Saleen 302 Extreme. Surprisingly, with this car download, as far as the mod goes, it doesn't have a Saleen window banner, which my mom used to own a Saleen Mustang, so I know that's a thing. But yeah, it's definitely got the Saleen rear bumper and the Saleen wing that all go together here. It's typical on the this body style of the Saleen, and it also has the billet grill that goes with it. Next to it is a Shelby GT500, but it is the Knight Rider edition. I believe I don't have the... Oh wait, no, I do. I do have the regular one. Okay. I didn't think I had the regular GT500, but I think that right next to it is it. This is the Knight Rider edition of the Shelby GT500. I know they didn't make too many of these things, and they are freaking sweet. And if I remember correctly, since it's Knight Rider, they only came in black. So, of course, I had to paint mine black to complete the look for it there. Next vehicle here is a 2005 Mustang Shelby GT500. So, it's exactly the same thing as that, except it is not the Knight Rider edition. So, it's going to look very similar to it. It's got the Shelby wing, Shelby trunk, the whole Shelby setup in the back, and I know they don't have plates on the front of them, but I try to put the plate to where like it shows what it is, like 05 GT500. This probably says 05, yeah, Shelby Knight Rider. So try to make the plates a little bit more distinguishing with those. This being the last car on here is a 2005 Ford Mustang, but it's a V6 as well. As you can see, it's got the V6 motor in there instead. And I kept it to its V6 form where it looks pretty much like a stock, just regular Mustang, everyday Mustang you'd see on the road. And that was the color it came as when it was in the junkyard. So I decided to keep it that color too. I figured why not? It's kind of a plain color. It's not a flashy color, even though it is kind of bright. So I did a lot of this after I started doing YouTube, a car mechanic simulator, but I thought it would get very boring watching me restore so many Mustangs that I did not record any of the restoring of them. So that's why you see all these cars and you're like, hey, what the hell? You didn't record any of that. Reason being is because, well, for starters, these two cars I recorded, but the audio quality was very terrible at the time because I didn't have my Turtle Beach headset that I do now. And then for this, I didn't think you guys would want to see, how much is this? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 Ford Mustangs getting restored in a row. So that was the reason why for that. But yeah, we're going to go back down to our garage and then we will go up to the next parking level. Guys, we are on the next level of my parking garage here. This is when you start seeing, as you can tell from that Evo over there, some of the cars that are not completed yet that I still have yet to work on here. So we're going to get started here. First car right now, and then again, these are not organized. This is, as you can see, it's not even full yet. There's still another, I have one more level above this one, but this is where I've been kind of just chucking cars and getting ready to start organizing this garage to looking like the way the previous level was, as far as like having all the cars nice and neat and whatnot with my OCD. But you guys already know this car. That's the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 6 that we did not too long ago and restored. Since you guys saw the original restoration, I put some bigger wheels and tires on it to try to fill that wheel gap. And I think it's doing a better job, although it looks way too high still regardless. But at least it doesn't have so much wheel gap now. Next to it here is a undone yet Lotus Esprit S1, something I saw in the junkyard. Lotus is one of the DLCs that came out for the game recently here, so be something that I'll have to work on eventually. Recording it wise, I don't know if I'm going to do it yet or not, but wanted to buy it when I saw it anyways, just to have it ready for in case I did want to record it or not record it. Next to it here is the Bentley T-Series. Again, another DLC vehicle that I found. It was actually missing a door, and I got lucky. I found another door, and I just slapped it on there. And it's a barnyard car find, so it's got everything to it basically. I just have to tear it down and restore it. This car, looking at the stats, it's probably going to be worth a pretty penny when I'm done restoring it. But since it's the only one I have, I'm probably not going to sell it or anything. I'll just keep it and put it in my collection here. Next to it is an undone Evo 6. It looks just like that one, except this one says it's tuned. So I think by it saying tuned is because it's actually lowered. If you look, the car sits a lot lower and it's got different body panels and whatnot. I may go back and tear this one down a little bit and change it as far as the colors go and whatnot, and actually start putting some of the stuff over here and change this to mimic more of my real life project car. So that's kind of the plan with this one. Oh, look at that, it's got a license plate even though it doesn't have a trunk. And to be completely honest, I did not realize that this was so much lower, because I know it said tuned, so I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll get the tuned version, why not, and see what's different. Now that I got it and I'm looking at it, I'm really glad I got it, because that wheel gap is so much better than it is over there trying to fix that 4x4 look. So probably definitely going to be one I work on it. It'll be off camera though. You guys will just see it one day being done. That way you're not seeing an Evo for the second time there. Actually, it'd be the third time because of this one. You guys remember this? This is the first car that I debuted the channel with. It's a Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 10. It is, doesn't say what it is, but I'm assuming it's a GSR model because one, it doesn't say MR back there, and two, oh yeah, because it is that an automatic? Let me sit in it real quick. Oh, it is an automatic. Okay, well, it's an automatic. Never mind. It's a MR, even though it doesn't have the badging back there. Only the MRs come in automatic, so this is a Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 10 MR, even though I won't say it on the status. And then, of course, who would not know this car? If you don't know this car, I don't know why you're watching this series, because, I mean, this is such an iconic car. This is the, oh, sorry, my foot was cramping up there. It's a 2002 Nissan Skyline R34 GTR. again, I think this was the second car I restored. I can't remember if it was the second or third or what, but it was definitely recorded and is in previous episodes there. And I really like what they did with the cover. That was cool to get the real Nissan cover in there. Next to it is a undone Hummer. This was one that I planned on restoring. You've seen it in episodes sitting in the garage. It never got done. Actually, truth be told, I bought a second one in a barn that was a lot cheaper. And I fixed it up and sold it for a lot more money. So this one got thrown up here. That one got restored and sold. And since you guys had already seen a Hummer get restored, I was like, I'm not going to just restore another one. Over here, we got a Jeep Willys. Right? Yeah, this is the military version of it. Again, not done. But Jeep is another vehicle manufacturer that got added to this game not too long ago with a few vehicles to work on as a DLC. And then, of course, you guys already know this one. It's the Ford Focus RS that I restored and absolutely loved, and set it up to mimic my one of my neighbor's cars. He has the same exact car, and not to screw him over too much, but the same exact license plate as well. But yeah, and I love what this model was done for it. Like with this engine cover and everything in here, it just looks so true and dead on to the real thing. Same with the back too. Just everything looks great on this car. It looks so true to the real thing. Like I said, my neighbor has one and I've driven it a couple times. It's a very fun car to drive. It makes me, knock on wood, want to sell my Evo, but I do love my Evo 9. So that's this level of the garage. We're going to go to the next level and the final level of my parking tower, I guess you can say, since we're going up levels. And that'll probably be mostly cars that need to be restored that are rusted out, but I'll show you guys either way just to get an idea what's coming up potentially on the channel. We're on the last level of my my parking structure here, or parking garages, and this will be the last little bit of cars that I have right now. You guys know this one from an episode that we already did of restoring, and that is the Humvee, the H1. This one is a slanted one here. I was having a little bit of trouble putting a gun on the top of it and whatnot and trying to make this fit right, and I wasn't sure why it didn't look right. Reason being is there's actually 3 versions of this. There's one on the lower level of the garage that you just saw that's kind of boxed off. It looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger's. There's this version, and then there's another version that's squared off in an actual military looking Humvee. I unfortunately did not purchase it at the junkyard when I saw it because I had no idea, and then I also didn't have any space for it because I ran out of parking structure floors. I had to buy another one, which is how this one came about. But I haven't seen it again since then at the junkyard. When I do, I will buy it and I'll have all 3 versions. Next to it here, again with the Ford update, the DLC, is a older Ford GT40 race car. It is completely trashed. I found it again in the junkyard, but this thing will probably go for a pretty penny when it's all said and done and fixed up. Next to it is just a regular Ford Crown Victoria. Nothing too special about it. It is a police interceptor version, but it's more or less more like a detective car than anything. Doesn't have any like sirens or lights or anything like that on it. But yeah, that's this one here. Again, V8 motor in it. I think this one I actually have souped up pretty well too. Oh, maybe not. Oh no, that was the Taxi, that's right. Next to that is a new 2017 Ford GT. I was very fortunate. I found this vehicle and I found it in a barn, and then I found I think it was a black one in the junkyard at the same time. And I bought both of them. This one I actually kept for myself just because it's got more of the parts on it. And the black one I fixed up and restored and sold it, and it made me a lot of money. In fact, selling that one car, I mean, it makes sense because it's a Ford GT, so they do sell for a lot of money. But selling that one car, bought all of those Mustangs on that floor down there that you guys saw. All of those Mustangs were bought with the money of selling one of these things. So if I see another one, I'm definitely going to pick it up and restore it. And then finally, the last car up here is the Ford CVPI. That is a taxi model, which you guys may have remembered me restoring. And it is completely hooked up. It's a very fast taxi. Guess you can say it reminds me a little bit of that movie Taxi with Queen Latifah in it. And she has the hooked up CVPI. I guess you can say is what this is. I don't know. It's kind of what I envisioned. That's why I did the New York plate too, besides the fact that it's a New York City cab. But yeah, some of these cars, the Ford GT is probably something I'm going to end up restoring and recording so you guys can check it out. It's a very cool car. Model is done very nicely. Can't really see it. There's actually a radiator behind the front bumper there. There's not much to it as far as underneath the hood goes, but I mean, it's still pretty fun. It's got the look to it. It's a really cool car. When I restore this car, it is not going to be this color, by the way. This is like a ugly piss green, like kind of, I don't know. It's definitely not a color I'm going to be sticking with. But guys, that's going to do it for this episode of well, actually a bonus episode really of all of the cars that I have restored and stuff pending. There's still stuff out on the junkyard that I have not picked up that I need to pick up eventually and add to my collection here of vehicles. But if you're new to my channel and you enjoyed this episode, please hit the subscribe button down below. Lets me know that you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to see more episodes of Car Mechanic Simulator or other content basically from my channel. If you have already subscribed to my channel, another way to let me know that you enjoyed this episode is by hitting that like button down below. It really helps me out and let me know that you enjoyed it and that you'd like to see more. But thanks again guys for watching, and I will see you on another episode of Car Mechanic Simulator 2018. Take care.